ready? More than 4 years ago, a young boy walked onto the Salisbury campus with his mother for an interview. I instantly recognized his mom, for she was a high school classmate of mine and is a great lady. And then I was told the boy was related to faculty member Bobby Wynn. And I thought we were in real trouble. No, just kidding, Bobby. When we offered him a place in the third form, I was so hoping he would pick Salisbury from his myriad opportunities. And thankfully he did. And while we thought he was going to be a terrific kid, the truth is that he's turned out even better than we'd hoped, surpassing our loftiest expectations. Nick Turecamo is a superb Salisbury kid. He loves this school and his friends with all of his heart. He embodies all the qualities that I think about when I think of the truest Salisbury boy. In fact, I heard from my spies recently that Nick was secretly photographed in my office behind my desk. A harbinger, perhaps. Fortunately, we've been blessed not only with one, but two strong class leaders this year. And although Nick will give the address this morning, we will also hear from classmate Sadiq Olanrewaju for the awarding of the sixth form medal. We've been blessed to have both of these two boys, and fortunately for them, they will go on and be classmates together at the University of Virginia next year. Congratulations, boys. It is my great pleasure to call Mr. Nicholas Turecamo, the president of the school and speaker for the class of 2013, to the podium.
Good morning. Before I start, I would like to thank and recognize my Vice President, Sadiq Olanrewaju. Without him, it would have been a very hard and difficult year. His leadership, kindness, and work ethic were unbelievable, and his dedication to the Hilltop made working with him easy and fun. I'd also like to thank my class and the faculty and staff for putting their trust in me to lead the school. 5 years ago, I remember driving all over New England, looking at boarding schools with my mom and my twin sister, Sienna. After seeing a handful of schools, I decided to apply to 3. Groton was first, St. George's was second, and Salisbury came last. In my mind, it was my backup school. I did not get into Groton, so my list narrowed again, leaving me only St. George's and Salisbury. Surprisingly enough, after 14 years of living together, fighting, and competing with each other, my sister did not want to go to school with me. So as things began to unfold, she picked St. George's and I came to Salisbury. Looking back, I could not be happier that Groton turned me down. This gave me the distinct opportunity to be part of the class of 2013 at Salisbury. Our class is different than the ones that came before us. We are diverse and thoughtful. And as we leave Salisbury, we are ushering in a new generation of students. A generation that is able to find the perfect balance of academics and sports, while also maintain a healthy social life. Throughout my time at Salisbury, I've been forced to do a lot of growing up. If you ask any 4-year guy sitting in the crowd what I was like as a freshman, the first word that would come to mind would be vain. Mr. McCrisky put it the best third form year when he said, the biggest fan of Nick Turecamo is Nick Turecamo. As I stand here before you today, I like to think that I've become more humble, but the truth is that I have not. I've learned to accept more things about who I am as an individual, and I've discovered through the many friendships that I've been on the Hilltop that sometimes listening can be just as rewarding as talking. The things that I've learned outside of the classroom at Salisbury have been just as instrumental in my development as those that I learned in the classroom. On the athletic fields, I learned how to be part of a team instead of an individual player. I learned how to lose with grace and win with gentle pride. More importantly, in my everyday interactions with my best friends and peers, I learned how to care for other people in a way that I never thought was possible. I found myself at times staying up all night to help my friends work through problems in their lives, and they did the same for me. I found myself consciously trying to make other people's days better, and I tried to be the best role model I could be for the underclassmen. As cliche as this all sounds, the truth is the sweet uniqueness of Salisbury as a school is what makes forming these bonds possible. Without the distraction of female relationships, inserted drama, we've been able to create friendships that will last a lifetime. This year, a reoccurring theme for me was that of actualities. As I mentioned before, when I first came to Salisbury, I was very vain. But what I left out was the reason behind the overconfidence. Growing up as a kid, I was severely overweight. I'd go through cycles that were emotional and physical. I could lose 20 pounds and gain it back again in a matter of months. And I was looked at as the fat, funny kid. The only problem was, the kids were not laughing with me, they were laughing at me. In 6th grade, with the help of my family, I was able to lose 70 pounds. However, even with my new look, I still felt like the fat kid on the inside. Because of this, I'd often be bullied, and there were times where I'd be forced to sit with other people than my friends at lunch. When I came to Salisbury, I was given an opportunity to reinvent myself. If you had told me when I was in 4th grade that I would have been the captain of 2 varsity teams, I would have laughed and walked away. The reason I share this story with you is not for pity, but instead in hope that as we move forward into the world, we can facilitate changes in people's lives and use the tools that Salisbury has given us to make this happen. As students here at Salisbury, we have seen firsthand that brotherhood can be shared between every individual on campus. And we have learned that sometimes the people that change your life the most are the ones that in your mind you would never be friends with. At the beginning of the year, I asked the senior class to follow me in an ambitious goal, and that was to live with integrity. Talked about bringing integrity into the classroom and into every sporting event. As we move through our lives, we need to think of integrity as more of a personal trait. In the world that lies on the other side of the beautiful mountains and the crimson colors of Salisbury, it will be easy to get sidetracked. We will be faced with situations that, if not tackled with honor and courage, will pull us off our tracks. Living with personal integrity is simple. It was embodied in Nick Hyman's chapel talk. He talked about following his musical goals no matter where they took him, whether it be to the stage or living in a box. In a world that is filled with people willing to do anything to get ahead, it's important that we take what we have learned at Salisbury and follow the paths that make us the happiest, not necessarily the richest. If in our lives, we are able to stop our premeditated judgments about people and stay true to the moral compass inside us, then no matter what happens, we will be successful. This is potentially the most important concept that I've been taught from my experiences at Salisbury. From the beginning of my 3rd form year until this past winter, I believe that in order to be successful, I had to be a first honor student, go to an Ivy League school, and then graduate into the world of finance and make millions. But I've begun to learn that this is not necessarily success. The college process this year was brutal. Along with a number of my classmates, I received rejection letter after rejection letter. And there was a period in the late winter and early spring that the senior class appeared to be somewhat demoralized. I felt that I had failed as if I had let down my teachers and coaches. But as I began to walk around campus, I realized that the success we have felt this year are not necessarily because we have won athletic championships or academic awards, but because of the class legacy we would leave behind. I've begun to see success as more about the journey than the end goal. Back when I was starting my boarding school experience, and this past winter, I was not so much rejected by certain schools, but instead rerouted onto a new path in my life. My hope is that next year and in the years to come, we as a class remember that success is more about the journey and the impact we have on other people's lives, and about achieving something that we think we deserve. With Salisbury School's help, I know we have learned how to be successful, and has given us the tools to live happy, prosperous, and fulfilling lives. But every one of us will also come into hard times at some point in the years to come. When this happens, remember, it is part of this rerouting process. And when things become very difficult, you have the help and support of every brother in the class of 2013. As you drive off campus today and live out the rest of your lives, remember the lessons we have learned on the playing field, the relationships that we have made with our teachers, and the successes and failures we've been faced with in the classroom. Remember the late night talks with your friends and the trouble that we somehow managed to avoid. And remember the championships we won and the games we lost. But more importantly, never forget the brothers you made here on the hilltop and the experiences and the people that have made us into the men we are today. It's been a hell of a ride, and I cannot think of a better group of people to have spent the last 4 years with. It's time for us to take on the world and be the change that we hope to see in it. Congratulations, boys. And for one last time, let's end today like every chapel service here on the hilltop. Carpe diem.